All right. Greetings, family. Welcome to this new topic I'm excited about. I see some families already here. Welcome, guys. Hi, Karima. Hi, Hakeem. Welcome. So, let me go. You guys, I always get so nervous when I do these shows. So, today's topic is we're going to talk about raising global entrepreneurs and global leaders. And I've been thinking about this topic a lot because with everything that's been going on, all the conversation that we've been having online, with the families that's going through repatriation, and just the conversation that I've been having over and over again about what took me so long to get over there, and because it was all stemmed around my children, making sure my youth had the things that they needed, and that was instrumental to making creating a strong educational foundation for them. And what I found in my circle, that I found the school system wasn't something that was promoting that, and it was such a struggle to get other like-minded individuals together, homeschool collectives. I was part of a homeschool collective, the Rastafari Basic Academy, and it was we had the vision, but it wasn't enough of us that was coming together to make that vision to into fruition. So when I thought about it, I was like, I have this platform. And that was one of the whole focus of the Global Green Book, is making sure that however big or small, that I'm a resource to bring that kind of information to those who are needed and connect like-minded people, and have a reputable vetting system. These are people that I know personally. I have been blessed to be surrounded by really powerful women, really uh, positive women, Afrocentric women, just women that will, if you put these women together, it can create such a powerful nation. So why not use my platform? So that was my thoughts on this topic. I kind of wanted to share get my information out, because when they come on, I don't want to take up their space, because they're doing it. They're doing amazing things, and I'm so proud to say they're part of my sisterhood. So the areas that we're going to cover, and I get nervous. But anyway, we're going to be talking about how do you develop a global leader? How do you become a global entrepreneur? And why is global leadership important? Because I know back when I was homeschooling, I thought more locally, but because we're doing this great migration, we need to be thinking globally, and we need to connect those over in the diaspora with those on the continent. And let me introduce my sister. So I want to add, she's new to the stream. This is Monica. uh, I'm going to stop talking, and I want you to introduce yourself, Monica.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. My name is Monica Utsey. I am the co-founder of the Sankofa Homeschool Collective. I'm a longtime homeschooler. I have two boys. One's 20 and one is 14. My 20-year-old, I graduated 2 years ago. He's a sophomore in college now, studying music. He's doing very well. And my 14-year-old is still homeschooling. And so for me, did you want me to answer a specific question first, or?
No, I want to introduce you really quick, and I'm gonna add Tamara on, and then we can then hop the conversation. Hi, Tamara. Do me a favor, sis. Introduce yourself, and share your homeschooling experience, because I want everyone to know your credentials and what you bring to the table.
Oh, okay. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Tamara Dickerson. I'm the founder of Astral Healing Arts Wellness Center and Solstice Organics, natural skin and hair care products and herbs. And I am an educator in the school system. However, when my youth were younger, I homeschooled them for a while before I actually put them into a charter school. Um, and I was very very pleased with the homeschooling. When I started, I was living in Virginia, and where I was at the time, I didn't have a network of homeschooling families. Everybody was kind of doing their own thing. So I did homeschool them for a while, and I loved it. I thought it was a great experience. I think it's great for building unity in the family, as well as being able to have the opportunity to pass on to your children information that you really want them to know, especially about our culture and our history. And this homeschooling never stopped. Even when they went to, the charter school, I still, taught them and did a lot of things with them.
All right, all right. So let's start with global leaders. Like, what are you guys? What are your thoughts on in regards to when you think of global leaders? What do you come to your mind? What is needed to bring that into our children's mindset? Because I know in my upbringing, it was about finding a job and fitting into the cog of the United States, and it wasn't so much about empowering our community. So what are some of the things that are important that we can do to create this new tribe of children that we're raising? I think Monica's frozen. You want to answer that, Tamara?
How to develop a global leader.
Yeah, like what's some of the things that we can do? And family, if you have any questions, please ask.
I think by thinking on a global level,
I think
we gotta remember that we're all over the diaspora, and so just think outside of when you're planning, when you're making your plans and goals, in particular with your business plans, and think outside of your own community and your own city and your own country even, and don't just limit yourself to your current environments and surroundings. You got to think like you've been looking at places overseas. Think beyond just your own immediate environment. Think about what you have and how you can offer it throughout the diaspora. One good thing about the internet and this video conferencing is it's bringing the world closer, and we're able to connect on so many levels now. So yeah, don't just limit yourself just to your current environment.
Yeah. Yeah, because and one of the things I'm seeing is so many of our children, even not only here but across the continent, they're being miseducated, because even a lot of the continental children have a miseducation. They're not even being taught their own history, and it's right there in their face. I know you was there firsthand at Monica. What was your thoughts when you learned or heard that, and
Oh, wow. Well, let me go back to what I was going to say to how to develop a global leader.
Right.
For children, I believe that what has given them a global outlook and a global perspective is learning Pan-African history. Their current Pan-African history teacher has been my younger son. That's the only history teacher he's ever had, and my older son as well. And he's had a really huge impact on the way that they see the world, because when they learned history, they didn't just learn American history. They learned what was happening at this point in time all over the diaspora and on the continent of Africa. So they have been thinking globally in terms of their history from day one.
Right.
In terms of what I saw in Ghana, I was surprised that I just assumed that in Africa schools would be African centered, but that's not the case. I visited the People's School in Ghana, and
what school? What school?
It's called the People's School, and it's founded by an African. It's a free school as well, founded by an African American who's been in Ghana for 25 years, and it's based on Nkrumah's philosophy. It was an amazing experience. The students were unbelievable, but outside of that, that's the only school that I encountered that, taught from that perspective. Most other schools are Christian schools. And
how many schools did you visit when you were over there?
I visited 4 schools. Okay. And of course, the country is huge, so that may not be a true representation of all of the schools. But from the conversations that I had with the founder, that's what was communicated to me, that there aren't a lot of African-centered schools on the continent, and that sadly, the British educational system is what is used to educate our children in Africa, just like the Western educational system, the Eurocentric white supremacist system is used to teach our children here in this country. Sadly,
right.
You can go 12 and really not know a lot about yourself or your history. Right now, I work in an alternative school for children who are trying to get their GED, and they've spent their whole education career and don't really know very much about Africa at all. Their history, nothing.
Yes. So we all know that is by design. I think it's by design, because if you don't know your history, you don't know, who you are. We know that whole saying, at least I hope a lot of us know that saying, you don't, people don't know themselves, you can keep them down. So when you were in the different schools, I'm just curious, were you able to have those type of conversations with them in regards to, like, some of the missing components of the educational system over there? Like, were you able to get some input from some of the teachers?
No, I was just visiting in the capacity. I mostly wanted to, just contribute my time. I just wanted to see and feel what it was like to be in a school in Africa, because I just assumed that, what would be taught would be, what strive to teach our children, those of us who have taken them out of the system. I just assumed it would be the same. But everyone was Black, and there were images of African people around, but outside of that, I was told that in some schools they teach even against Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yep. Yeah. Shocking. The man who liberated the country from colonial rule.
Right. And what kind of, like, he was a bad leader or something? Like, what could they actually say?
I don't remember what exactly he said. It may have been along the lines of, he was a dictator or something.
Oh, wow.
I don't recall specifically, but I do know that I was told that in some of the curriculums, that's what they teach.
Okay. Sister Amina, assalamu alaikum, Sister Amina. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sister Amina asked, in regards to the schools that you visited, were they aware of African American history?
Well, I didn't ask that question specifically. However, one question that came up on the virtual tour, I believe it was the first virtual tour that we did, and we visited a slave dungeon that's in Jamestown. And in Jamestown, in Ghana, that's where a lot of the children or boxing is very popular in that area. And so the underground dungeon was on top of what is now like a recreation center. And some of the participants of the tour were offended that the children were playing on top of where our ancestors had been, taken and captured and kept in dark and tortured.
They use it as a playground.
Well, the that's where the playground is located. It's a recreation.
Okay, got it.
On the grounds of that recreation center, there is a dungeon that you can go in and see, where our ancestors were kept. And so some people on this virtual tour were kind of taken aback by that. And our guide had to explain that these children are taught that. They don't know. They're not taught that history. Sometimes the children that are right outside of the castles that are asking, the tourists for money or whatever,
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, because I do remember, and when I was at the dungeons, the children were outside playing, like they were doing like dancing, and it was just very merriment. I didn't get offended personally. I thought it was, it just kind of made me feel welcome, after seeing such a, hold on. Sorry. Sorry about that. I saw, when I saw the children playing outside, it kind of warmed my heart because from the heaviness of the whole dungeon experience.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I also, they were saying
you can't blame the children.
You can't blame them.
It's the responsibility of the adults to educate them. So they're trying to learn boxing. They're playing basketball. They're having fun. If no one has taken them on that tour, how would they know?
No, yeah, because I know. Do you remember when we were did you all walk on the outside of the slave dungeon where all the people? So that was a little shocking for me when I saw that. When I saw how, and such a close perimeter to the slave dungeon, that people were actually living. And I was kind of like shocked, and they would and the tour guide kept telling us they don't even, some of them don't even know what happened in there, and I found that confusing.
They don't.
Yeah.
If the school system, if they're using the model of the enslaver, which is the British system, because the focus is on academic success and being able to pass the exams and go on to college, who's teaching them that history?
Anja Africa said, I've heard similar that if you open a school, do not call it a Pan-African name because people on the continent will not support it. Use a generic name, incorporate Black history with approved agenda. Wow.
Well, let me say this about the People's School. Like I said, it's free. And they didn't look like they had a lot of spaces available. And I believe he told me that 100% of their students pass I believe it's called Utsey exam. It's an exam that, or no, maybe it's called, because when they're done with the People's School, they take an exam to go into high school. And from what I witnessed, from what I observed in the conversations that I had with those children, I said they're ready for college. They can skip right over high school.
Yeah, I noticed that about them as well because, I noticed it when I see Continentals over here. They're not only getting 1 degree, they're getting like 2 and 3 degrees, and at a very young age. So academically, I always felt like could see that they're like way, above here than we are over here in the diaspora. But people always wanted to make it as if their educational system was not up to par to ours, and I couldn't see it. I didn't see it.
They may not have the reset. They may not have shiny buildings and air conditioning, but I disagree. I do believe that the educational system is, or the learning is rigorous from what I observed. I mean, I didn't go to a lot of schools, so I can only the ones that I visited. But what I also noticed was the behavior of the students was just. I worked for the Boys and Girls Club. I've worked in some you know, I've worked in schools and programs in my community. Let me just say that. And the behavior was just, for example, the school that I visited, I was I sat in on a Fonte class, and the teacher was shared between two classes because they didn't have enough teachers. And so he had to move from the Fonte class and move over to this other class and teach. And I didn't realize what was happening, but everyone was sitting there very quietly writing in their notebooks. So I said, well, what's happening right now? And they said, oh, our teacher, it's his time to teach over here, so we have to wait for him to be done and come back and teach us. And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
No talking, there's no playing, there's no cutting up, there's no running in and out of the room. And so I ended up teaching, because that was the period for English, but they had to wait. And so I ended up, taking over and doing the English class on that day.
Mm-hmm.
Just very respectful, very.
You had an amazing time there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I did. I love I love the children.
I enjoyed living vicariously through your experience. I was just like, man, I wish I was there and next to Monica. You had an amazing experience, because just being able to be there with, because I love homeschooling. It's such a blessing, and to be on the continent and to really get some real true lessons on what we need here, because our youth need it here. We're so undisciplined here. I like what Wig Williams said. Wig's, I sound like greetings, brother. He says 20 by 25 meter land, $2,500 cash for a plot of land. And let's get started. Like, yeah, we gotta.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we have. That's the. I've been me and Sister Tamara. We've been sitting here thinking of like ways that we can do to build and create something on the continent for our community, like a village or some sort, because I feel like this kind of exposure, because our youth, I really feel like we need so much over here for our children. We have, we have nice shiny things. Yeah, nice shiny things. But the things that important to take our children to the next level. And what they did was they kept all that brilliance over in Africa, and kept all the financial over here in the West. Neither one of them can be great without the other.
That's right.
We need each other, because with both those together, we can oh my gosh, we will be we will be the global leaders of this world. Not to, I gotta be mindful, I'm on YouTube, not that I want to take over it, but to so that we all can live peacefully amongst ourselves, because we have a different kind of mindset as Africans. I'm gonna read. I see some. I'm gonna read some chats really quick. Sister Anja Africa said, "Yes, I remember putting them a grade behind to control them and reset them with colonizer values and requirements for credits." Let me see. And she says, "It's caning still utilized for discipline."
I'm not sure about that. I've spoken to some people who are much older, who were disciplined in that way, but I'm not sure if that's still done.
Okay. Yeah, I that corporal punishment, I call it corporal punishment. I dealt with that. Now, I dealt with that over here with the others, and I used to get a beating every day. So I can only imagine over there it's only for the most necessary of discipline, and because they are so well disciplined, caning is probably not even really necessary.
I remember reading, I was looking at applications for teaching jobs.
I
came across one on some website. It was for teaching in Ghana, and the job description said to the teachers, the children will be very well disciplined. So you won't have to spend a lot of time on classroom management. So, make sure you plan for that. And I said, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, how is Tamara? You're actively in the school system here. How is classroom management over here for you with our youth?
It varies from school to school that I've been in, and the different grade levels. And some schools that I've worked in, it's been very challenging, very difficult to manage behavior and to deal with discipline issues. And then in other schools, it hasn't been such an issue. It just depends. And like I said, it varies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good Samaritan asks, is Monica still in the motherland?
No, but I'm going back on the 19th of this month. I'm out.
Man, I wish I was in your suitcase. That's why I had to do. That's one of the reasons why, family, I did this particular show tonight, because I wanted to get Monica before she went on the motherland and she was doing her thing, and I don't know when I was going to get her again, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make it or not. Well, that's another topic, but I wanted to get her and all her wealth of knowledge, and I'm so grateful that you're here today, sis. I appreciate love it. I really do. So there's some greetings here for some that came in. Mama Alicia. Hi, I saw greetings, Mama Alicia. That's one of my sisters. I have to get this sister on here too. She's another one that dealt with educating her children. She has a lot of knowledge also. That's going to be for another time. Is Mama Monica on the motherland? Nope, we already answered that. Okay. So, hey Donnie, how are you? That's Donnie goes in. He has another YouTube channel. He's also talking about repatriation. So, in regards to so what are some of the things that you started incorporating with your because you have what three boys, right? Two boys? Two.
Me?
Monica?
Yes, I have two boys.
Two boys, right? And they're already showing leadership qualities. I watched them. They went to Africa with us. Do you think going to the motherland strengthened their qualities of being a leader in our community?
Oh, absolutely. That
Oh, I love the way you said that. You said, "Oh, absolutely, yeah."
Oh, definitely, because it made it real, because this is what we've been studying. This is what we've been immersed in the community here in Washington, D.C. The West African drummers, they've been sitting under the tutelage of Baba Mahari. And this is what he's been talking about. This is what he's instilled in them. My oldest son, well, both of them now have gone through African rites of passage. So to finally step foot on the motherland and see and feel and breathe all of those things that they had been taught, I feel gives them a confidence and a power to walk into any room, into any space, and feel secure about who they are. No one can
Oh,
lie
wow.
and tell them Africa is this or Africa is that, because they've been there.
Mm.
And also, I think in terms of becoming a global entrepreneur, I think it starts with, just developing those skills with something small here, in this country where we are now, and thinking of ways to solve problems that you face. For example, a few months ago, I saw something posted on Facebook about, I believe it was bees or it was something that was invading Kenya. And I talk to my children constantly about things that are happening all around the world, and of course, in their Pan African history class, they're learning this as well. So when I'm preparing them for thinking about how they're going to make a living for themselves, it's not just about getting, graduating from college and getting a good job, to build up this country. is thinking about how are you going to solve problems, and the problems are all over the world. So thinking globally and laying that entrepreneurial foundation now opens up the possibility of moving, all around the world. My older son was initially going to study engineering. So it was already my dream that he was going to Africa and I was going to follow him. But that switched to music, so I had to support that. And my younger son he is always thinking of ways to make money. And so I just instill in them to look beyond these borders. They don't have to be, the world is open to them, and looking out at the world, specifically Africa, gives them options. So in developing global entrepreneurs, you just have to talk to them constantly about the world. And I believe that your work should have a purpose, and it should help people solving problems.
Right.
And just showing them what the options are.
Right. Wig William asked, what country?
Where I'm going? Ghana.
Ghana. Anja Africa says, you can rent a home, start your school, expand from there, then build a school. I believe in all of you. Yeah.
Thank you, Anja.
Yeah, it's going to happen, with God, with God's blessing. We just have to do things and, with wise mind and divine time.
Yeah.
Thank you all for the insight. Hakeem Zabe. I'm so terrible. Blessings, African millennial. Blessings, greetings. Be sure to hit the like, the broadcast family. Hit the like button. Can you describe your son's African rites of passage?
Oh, yes. So both of my sons went through the Ancobia rites of passage. I believe the organization is 30 years old. It may be the oldest African rites of passage in the country. I'm not quite sure. If it's not the oldest, it's one of the oldest. And people come from all around the country to participate in this rites of passage. I know there's a strong one in Tallahassee, Florida. But when Zion, who's now 20, when he was 9 years old, I went to the orientation, and I said, you know what? As soon as you're old enough, you're doing it. And he didn't want to. He fought me tooth and nail because it's a 6-month commitment.
Oh, wow. So what, they have to leave for 6? Oh, no, they have to participate for 6 months.
Yes, for 6 months. And, a lot of young
no weekends
struggle with that because of sports. And, for me, this was important. This is an important piece to developing him into a young man, because their father has transitioned, and so this for me was important. And what I noticed after the rites of passage is that his confidence went through the roof, because now he's connected to this organization that has this lineage. Now he's a part of this brotherhood. And what was even more beautiful is that when his brother went through this year, he was able to take him through because he was old enough. So now the two of them have that connection, and then they have that connection to the organization. And so all of that also creates a global mindset, because they're connected to, they're connected to Africa in deeply spiritual ways. So going there and I mean, I know that's what it was like for me. Going there, it was like I was just like heaven on earth. When I got on the plane and I first breathed the air, I was like, oh,
I know the air just smells so different.
I'm in Africa.
Yeah, it's like as soon as you take that first, you can smell the difference. You're like, wow, okay. You know it. You know you're not in America because the air smells, it just smells different. You're like, oh yeah, okay, that's Africa. And you long for that smell again.
Yes.
Oh man, and they forever they have that. That was so beautiful watching all those children just go over there and impress our children on the continent, because I saw the children on the continent looking at them like, wait a minute.
Right. And you could drum in
When
the
they would drum and they would dance, it was kind of like
that is a priceless moment. Priceless moment.
it. It would, it definitely would help our community if we could get more of like more. I know there's small, some kind of exchange group where we can bring our children over there. And I knew in the past, my daughters went through a program. What was it called? Not Sankofa. I cannot remember. It was Roots. No, I can't remember. It was a group. They're based out in Atlanta, but they was going through that whole program so they could go to Ghana with them. But there were some things, some logistics on my part that I didn't follow through, and I wish there was more programs that were available for our youth, or individuals that we can get our youth uh, to be a part of, to help with that. Have you all heard of any incentives that are being created to get that kind of going, to bring more of our children over there versus just families, individuals doing it?
Well, I know that the DC public schools, I believe, they have some kind of study abroad program, and I do
Oh,
believe
really?
you can choose a country in Africa, but that's not the same as going with a cultural organization.
Right.
There's another organization called Birthright that
Mm-hmm.
partner with organizations to send youth 13 to 21 to Africa for free of charge if this is their first time ever being on the
Oh, really?
Yes, I actually reached out to the organization because I wanted to create a partnership with them through Sankofa so that, um, you're learning this Pan African history for many, many years. That should be the culmination for you to actually be able to have that opportunity to go back to your, to the gateway, because not everyone's lineage leads them back to the gateway. I did my African ancestry, and I'm from Cameroon. That's where my lineage is. But Ghana is a beautiful place to start.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I always tell people, every place has their good and their bad, and Ghana has its good and its bad. Um, but don't always look for the bad. You see the bad, then find a solution.
Oh
Be solution makers. Instead of just be problem solvers.
yeah.
But Sister Good Samaritan, she says, please explain what you're saying when you say that we need to stay amongst ourselves because there is a different mindset. This is Queen Mother Excellent at its finest. Who said that? Did I say that, or when he?
No, no.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't think I said that.
Let me see. It says Hope Global Forum and Shopify wants to make 1 million Black businesses not even 30 days, not even 30 days old. Okay. All right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, I just want to kind of go in regards to another question. Let me see what this question says. That other one threw me off. I'm like, what? Question: do you think Repat should create tech schools for their children funded by them? What do you guys think?
I would say yes. What I noticed in one of the schools that I visited, that they had, like, there are some schools where the children don't have access to computers at the high school level. Um,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean they can't learn, but I think having that access would be good in terms of just being creative, and also having connections with children in the U.S., creating
Mm-hmm.
that global, that global, creating global relationships and conversations. Like, my youngest son is a gamer, and he has friends all over the world, people that he's never met, and I think
Right.
that those kinds of relationships create um, create spaces for other conversations to happen, because
Mm-hmm.
children
Yeah,
become familiar with.
my nephew and my little cousin, they're both gamers as well. So they done the same thing. Now my little cousin, I was gonna have him on here, but he has so much homework he couldn't join. He's a gamer, but he's also recently started his own business. He's I think he's like a senior or a sophomore in high school, and I was very impressed. I said because I wanted him to share like what was his process of starting his business, his website, and how did he get into it. But hopefully for the next time, because that's one of the things that I see more of our children. I really would like to see more of our children start their own businesses. I know my daughter, I was really, when she was in high school, she was selling her portraits. She was an artist. I know a lot of us don't push our children to be entrepreneurs, but especially in the Afrocentric community and what we need to do in Africa, we have to push that agenda more on more of our children of being entrepreneurs, and using things like gaming is a great way. So, have your sons thought about or consider taking their gaming, what have you, to another level, or talk to other gamers and collabs or what have you? Because I know they can make good money doing that.
Oh yeah, and YouTube. I didn't know anything about YouTube. My younger son taught me about YouTube, and creating channels and collaborating. I mean, I just um, Burner Boy worked with P Diddy on his current album, and they said they did it over WhatsApp. So the possibilities are there.
Over WhatsApp.
Yeah, they the collaboration and communication took place on WhatsApp.
Being creative. Yeah.
I mean, um, and so I think that in order for our children and for us to create these global businesses, we need to know what is needed, and we just have to educate ourselves about that. And then when I was in Ghana, I already knew before that 10-day trip ended that I wanted to make that my home eventually. So when
Oh,
I
really?
looked around, I wasn't looking at problems. I wasn't like looking at things to complain about. I was looking at things that could be business opportunities, like
Mm-hmm.
recycling, like trash collection, like beaches, like creating programs around keeping the beaches beautiful, like I mean, of course, this would take millions of dollars, but who's to say it can't happen? Labadi Beach, turning
Yeah.
that into an ocean city, a boardwalk, um, just endless. You just have to know what's needed, know what problems need to be solved, and be creative.
He said, I didn't hear someone was scratching. He said some
Um,
problems be solved.
yeah, look at what problems need to be solved and be creative in doing it. There's a sister um, that was connected to me from another sister who she's from this area. She went to Bowie State University. She doesn't have a background in business, but she decided for some reason she was moving to Ghana, and she now has a successful recycling business. She married a Ghanaian and has a baby and is living happily ever after. So, even
It a
me,
lot of it is fear, is removing the fear of moving and being self sufficient.
and educating yourself about what, what is needed. I'm still in the process of watching this video. It's like a 2-hour video, and it's called African Business Boot Camp. And she's going through the top 10 things that are needed in Africa right now, where to look in the future. And I'm only on number 2, and I think it was, oh gosh, what was it? I think it had something to do with environment and cleaning up the environment, which is one of the things that, you know, I said I noticed immediately. All the plastic. There is
that was the one thing that kind of upset me when I saw
the plastic, and that's a raw material that could be reused for something. There's a place in Crocobite, which is where I stayed my first trip, and I didn't know that I was in a surfing community in Ghana, of all places, but it's a organization that teaches the people how to take like plastics and I think like old materials and create new things. She's an African American woman who lives in Ghana now.
She's an educator, right? Isn't she making clothes out of it as well?
Yes. And and she just opened, I saw this on Instagram, she just opened it's like one of those like WeWork kind of places for people to go and work virtually and use the internet, you know, if they're working from home or whatever. And you know, I said I definitely plan to visit when
Right. Mama Alicia says, what kind of business and skills are needed in the motherland?
I wouldn't call myself an expert. I'm learning like everyone else, but I would say, you know, plumbing, car mechanic, electrician. I think of the things that happen, like the blackouts. Like, why do the blackouts happen? Does it have something to do with the power lines? If so, that means that Ghana may be in need of electricians.
Right.
You know, plumbers, skilled workers.
Right. I'm going to add, we have another guest coming on. This is Wig Williams. Welcome, Wig. How are you, brother? All right. I don't know. I think something's wrong with his mic. I can't hear him. So, Mama Alicia, she said, what inspired Mama Monica to trot forth and forward to the motherland? How does one survive financially there?
That's a good question.
Well, I'm not living there full time yet. I'm working on that. But what inspired me was the first trip. The first trip was because our children were performing as a part of the Back to Africa concert, or Back to Africa festival is what it was. And they've been a part of Farafina Khan for many, many years, and the ensemble had never been to Africa, or they had never been to Africa. And so the first trip was 10 days, and it just went by like this, you know, and I saw all these things that I really wanted to like spend some time doing, but there's no time because it was 100 of us, it was 3 buses, and, you know, we had to keep it moving. And so I made a mental note, and I said, I want to come back. I want to come back. I want to go to Cape Coast, you know. And then I saw the Mystic Stone, and I said, oh my gosh, I want to go to Larabanga. I want to touch the oldest mosque in all of West Africa. And so, you know, I decided I wanted to go back. We had made contacts there from the first trip, and a friend was getting married, and so that was the perfect excuse to go back.
Right.
And so,
right. I wish I could have been there. That was nice. So, when you were there, did you see mostly Sister Alicia? She was like, "How do you survive? Was it how do you thrive and prosper?" What type of work did you see mostly everyone doing when you was there?
Well, I saw a lot of traders, people selling things, women, selling food. I went to hotels. I mean, everything that you
Mhm.
see in our country, you see in Ghana. It's not that different. But in
Right.
terms of the number of jobs available for people, I'm in a lot of Ghana Facebook groups with people who have repatriated and have been there for many years. And they all say either come with a stream of income
Mhm.
or come to create a business. Don't come to look. That's not a place to come and look for a job. So if you're coming, you need to come with some ideas, some savings, some passive income, already going, or a US based job that you can do from anywhere. So,
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That would answer the second question. How do you become a global entrepreneur? Is bringing your own industry and finding a void or need that needs fulfilling there. And she said that it's not much different from here, but um, don't go there so much with looking for a job, but to create a job. So maybe if enough of us come together and, like you said, and have our own community, we all can bring something to the table and work and support each other financially.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
So have your children talked about entrepreneur interests over on the continent, or they haven't even gone that far yet? Have you all um explored those ideas in regards to your homeschooling?
No, my oldest son is, like I said, he's an artist. So he's focused on completing school and his artistry, writing and producing music. So that, and then he wants to incorporate West African music into
Mm-hmm.
his writing, into this genre that he is creating. So that's going to take him back and forth, of course, to Africa. Baba M is planning to take them to Guinea, and so
Oh.
through music collaborations, that is a way of possibly creating some um, entrepreneurial connections globally. My,
Mm-hmm.
and my oldest has also been to South Africa twice. He was part of an organization called Swaliga, and what this organization, their aim was to create um, global relationships through STEM, through STEM and through music. And so when he went to South Africa, they had to do STEM projects and they did musical projects. And so I think just, that constant exposure to Africa and having that experience, um, with organizations and then he's a young brother, and that's what I like, because a lot of times these organizations that are taking our children to Africa, they don't look like us. But this is
Mm-hmm.
a brother who was I believe he has a degree in architectural engineering, and he transitioned into music and then started this organization to help bridge
What's
that gap.
what's the name of that organization again?
It's called Swaliga, Swaliga. And he took he's taken many youth to South Africa, and my son was able to go twice. And this past summer the exchange went the other way, and he brought the students from South Africa to the United States.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Um, I know Sister Alicia, she asked, explain the blackouts, please. I don't know. I heard the blackouts were
Well, the lights just go out.
now. I heard that was more maybe like a government thing. Like they kind of pick and choose what areas to. I don't know. I've heard all kinds of things in regards to the blackout.
Yeah, I didn't understand. We experienced it briefly on the first trip, but we were in hotels. So hotels have backup generators. So the lights would go out for a minute and they would come back on. But the second time, I didn't experience it. I stayed in Airbnb. But I think the third time when I was staying in a guest house and the lights went off and I was about to become an African American and start ask for my money back. And then it had to be explained to me. No, you can't. They don't have any control over it. It's not their fault. It's not poor customer service. It's this, like, the lights are out, And I was like, okay.
You said I was about to be an African American.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Wig, try to come back in and see if you can get back in. Brother Wig, his computer froze or something. He said he couldn't get in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always tell myself when I go over there, like, leave your American self behind. Leave your American self behind. Don't bring that over there.
I had some of those moments.
I'll be trying to bring up my Yelp.
Oh, Lord.
Like, let me rate you all.
When I went to the northern region on the way back, oh my gosh, the bathroom situation, I almost accidentally wandered into the male mosque because I thought it was a restroom, and it was all these men standing outside, and I'm sure they were cursing me out. I don't know what the language was. And there was a woman with them, and I'm standing there like a deer with headlights, and I said, I have to use the bathroom, pee. And then the woman understood. She was like, oh, go over there. But I remember thinking for a quick moment, can I just find a Holiday Inn? Can I just go check into a hotel?
Like, can I get some of my old creature comforts? I'm just, I can't help myself. Brother Wig Williams, he asked, do you need a license to teach in Ghana? Did anyone share that information with you?
Well, I had a conversation with the principal of one of the schools that I visited, and I believe I'm not sure about opening a private school, but I know that through the government schools, it's very different from here in the United States because once you graduate, the government assigns you to a school.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the government assigns you.
I believe, and I think that your education has to be very specialized based upon what it is you're going to teach. Now, I don't know what the case is for private schools because I hear of a lot of people opening schools, so I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The international schools, some of them require licensing.
Some of them. Okay. Welcome, Wig Williams. Actually, this is the brother who asked the question right here.
Those are good questions. I'll try to find the answers to
those. Yeah, they're very good questions. Very good. Let me see. Okay, I got all these notifications coming in. I'm sorry about this. Rock Hall. Greetings, Rock Hall. Welcome, brother. It says, respect, Queens. I was wondering why the diasporas don't create some sort of group economics to help the return for those that need a hand up arriving as far as a village startup, business clinic, etc.
That's a good idea.
That is a very good idea. I know I've been pondering those thoughts. Assalamu alaikum, happy companion. Welcome. So yeah, that's a really good question.
There is an organization like that, and I believe it's called the Sankofa Repatriation.
Yes. Yes, the Sankofa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And their goal is to provide, it's like $40,000 or something.
It's a process that you have to go through. I know you have to go through some classes, and it's a whole application process to it. It's two groups that I found like that in Ghana, because I've been looking in different areas, and there was another organization in Ghana. I was just looking at them where the Abesu, I think it's the Abesu organization. There is like a chief in that region. He is giving, he gave donated 500 acres of land, and it's free. So but you have to go through that cooperative to apply for. You know, you got to do like a clearance check and through the police, and I don't know, you have to prove your lineage as African, and you know, it's a whole like list of things that you do. It's a simple application, but it's an application process. And they ask that you make sure you give a donation to the chief. I think I was sharing that with you tomorrow. Didn't I share that information? Yeah, I did. So I know they are doing that also in Ghana.
With the land. What do you have? What do you have to do with the land?
You have I think within a year, you have to start developing it. You know, like break ground, whether it's start your wall. So like even if you go over there and you get that land, and to start a little school, you know, you can break the land and get the foundation. If they just want you within a year, you start the foundation, and then at least come out every 2 years. No, at least 2 weeks within 2 years out there to be part, you know, building and being part of the program, because you also have to work within one of the schools over there as well. So you have to donate your time with the school in that region to help with those children. I'll look for that information and I'll put it in like the description so that people can find it. Because when I found it, because I've been, a certain area. Looking at Ghana. I was looking at Gambia, Sierra Leone. So there's a few countries that I was looking at because I wanted to see who would give the opportunity to kind of create some kind of like village collective type. And I was, of course, school was one of my thoughts in it. So, yeah.
I would love to see that information.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll share that information. I haven't found anything like that in the Gambia, but Ghana, they're making it really, they want you to come out there and help develop with not only, building houses and business, but they also want you to do like community type things, like create, schools and, they're really making it easy. So let me see, were there any other questions? Rock Hall says, from what I'm seeing, the Jamaicans, UK's diasporas are doing that. Yes, I guess. Hello, Sammy Treasure. Assalamualaikum. Greetings. Yeah, so have you heard of any other places that are doing that in regards to having the diasporans come together and creating schools? Because I know I heard another family talk about it in Gambia. They're called the Black Acres of the Black Acres of the Gambia. Because I know they were talking about building an like an African centered school as well.
I follow them, and I also follow the sister who's up in the northern region. Eat, Live, Migrate, I believe.
Yeah, Eat, Love, Migrate. Yeah. I know she's doing the village, like I think hers is more of like a spiritual village.
Yes.
It's more of a spiritual village, because I was thinking more like an educational village. Because I know me and Tamara have talked extensively where we can have like education in regards to, of course, our basic, fundamentals, but that missing component, spiritual, holistic, history, the whole Black experience without the colonizers' influence. So that was one of the things. So that was a big thing for me wherever I go, is like getting the land to be able to do that and create, more of a village type setting. So let me see if there are any. Okay, Brother Wig Williams, he's having really bad internet issues. That's okay. Yeah. So did we cover everything? So I'm going to. So that's fine. Whenever you need to sign up, I know Sister Monica has to get ready to go soon. So, she's a homeschooling mom and she's busy. So, do anyone have any more questions for Sister Monica before she exit our panel? So let me see. It seems like people are just saying everyone's greeting each other. African millennial, she's here. Welcome, sis. I'm going to need Global Green Boom to stop looking gorgeous for 2 seconds. Oh, she is so sweet. Don't make me blush. Don't make me blush. Let's see. Wig Williams, internet always act up when you speak truth. I know that's right. I always say when they know you're about to speak some truth, that the enemy always going to try to jump in there and cause havoc. And then group economics in Senegal. Yeah, have you all thought about Senegal?
That's one of the places I'm looking at, repatriating.
What have you learned anything in regards to like any programs that they have set up in place? For repass or the educational system over there. Have you heard anything about that, Sister Tamar? Because I know you know a lot of people in Senegal.
I have not heard of any programs to help expats. The people that I connected with, they were contacting people in the government there, but I haven't heard any answers yet.
Okay.
I would like, if someone on this live chat knows of any programs like the ones that exist in Ghana, please share that with us. Email or send us some information about that, because that would be very helpful and very useful.
So, let me welcome Sister Aisha Kiba. So, and let me see, there's another comment. If you buy one plot, we can pull money together and pay for a teacher. Yeah.
Good idea.
Because we have actually, it's so interesting. So many of the people in our community, we're the first educator. I know I educated, all of us on this panel have educated our own children at one point in time, and some longer than others. I don't think finding qualified women to educate in our community is going to be too much of an issue, because that's the one thing we are coming over there is with a lot of education. A lot. Welcome, Sister Aisha Kiba. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. All praise to God. Hope everyone's doing well.
Alhamdulillah. Yes. You missed a lot, Sister Monica. She was, oh my goodness, she's a wealth of knowledge. She's a wealth of knowledge. I do. I really appreciate you sharing all that information, because a lot of people don't know about the programs that you share with, and definitely, you have a son, so she shared a lot of great programs for the young men rites of passage program.
I talk to you guys about that all the time.
Yeah,
so
I know Sister Aisha was always talking about the rites of passage for her son, and so Sister Monica is definitely watched it, because she gave some very. I wish I had her as a resource when I was homeschooling. Really, yeah. And I want to share her information, guys. For those who are joining, this is how you can reach Sister Monica. Follow her on Twitter. She's on Twitter as Monica Utsey. The name of her homeschool collective, she's a co-founder of the homeschool community and collective at sankofahomeschool.org. Her Facebook is Sankofa Homeschool Community. Her YouTube, definitely go on her YouTube channel, subscribe to it, hit the notification bell, because she's always giving. I watch your videos. I'm not homeschooling anymore. I'm always like, I like to support my family. So her YouTube channel is Chocolate City Homeschool Life, and her IG is Chocolate Cover Boy. So those who follow me on IG, they might see me post some of her stuff in my stories, because I try to share people who are doing stuff all the time. So Sister Monica, I want you to go ahead and just kind of share something in regards to, well, first, before you leave, this is something I do with all my sisters because this is a sisterhood series. And my goal is to bring positive light to Black women because we're always showed in a negative light. And I do this for, if my brothers come on here, I do the same thing for them. I like you to describe 3 words to you that when you hear the word sisterhood, what are the 3 words that come into your mind?
Support, love, and laughter. Because I've been a part of, sisterhood is very important to me. I've been a member of Mocha Moms for almost 20 years. And I co-founded, actually. No, I'm the founding president of I'm so used to saying co-founder with Sankofa, but I'm the founding president of the Southern DC chapter, of which I'm still the co-president. And I say that being a part of that organization shaped me as a mother because I didn't know what I was doing when I had my first child, but I connected with an organization where there were seasoned mothers who could teach me.
I have a secret to tell you. I used to come to some of your meetings when I first had my daughter.
Really?
Yeah. It was me and a sister named Jamila Love. We used to come together. She became a member. She became a member. I didn't.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I remember you from back then. I just never said anything.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, sisterhood is everything. I don't know what I would do without my sisters. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember, and it was just my circumstance that time. I just couldn't really. But Jamila, I know she would bring me, and I was like, okay, I'm coming.
Oh wow!
And I enjoyed it. It was that seed that I needed.
It was for those days.
It was a seed that I needed. Let me see. I'm just going to read a couple more questions. Let's see. Happy Donnie goes in. Happy companion just got finished. Oh, they're talking. I'm in their conversation. Wig Williams, teach a tech example, robotics. We need to keep competing in the tech spaces. Yes, we do.
We need schools that teach STEM as well as vocational and all sorts of higher learning.
Yeah, I know we have a few of them here in DC. But DC is DC's not like it kind of is different here because there's so much stuff that we have here in the nation's capital that we have access to, but that's not in the rest of the country because I did get to experience what the education system is like outside of DC, and I was mortified.
Yeah.
I was mortified. I was like, I was shocked. It was to a point where when I put my daughters in the school, I couldn't trust the school to educate my children. I was in that school every day. They really did not like me because I was there every day. I said, because I can't trust you all with my kids. They just looked at me like I was insane. I was like, I was in the classroom. I said, no, I had to make that. I was like, I'm volunteering. They didn't want me there because they were trying to put my oldest child in remedial classes. And I'm like, no. And then when they tested her, then they had to put her in the talented and gifted classes. And I kept asking her, like, did they test you? She's like, no. And they did it based on her color. So I was really mortified at the school systems here. That's why I really highly recommend if you can homeschool. We can get these homeschool collectives going, get these women out, find the resources, because when I was homeschooling, it was hard to get women to participate in it because they've trusted these school systems so much with their babies, education in their mind and molding them, so that we struggle. So I'm loving to seeing that this pandemic really put the emphasis on seeing how the children are now flourishing at home with their parents, helping them educate versus being in the school. And now I'm hearing so many parents saying, my baby's doing well. My baby's doing, I'm hearing a whole different topic of conversation.
Yes.
Let me see. Jamil Barakat says, group economics in Senegal, repat, RJ Mahdi, Africa is for Africans, YouTube. Okay, and Donnie goes in at Chocolate City Homeschool Life. Just subscribe. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Donnie's family. And check out his YouTube channel. Donnie goes in. Thank you. The Happy Companion goes in. Okay, bro. Donnie goes in. Assalamu alaikum, Queens. Too. My brother Wiggs. Okay, they're all saying hi. I'm all in the conversations again. Let me get out the conversation.
Well, sisters, I have to go. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, nice seeing you, Tamar.
See you too. Nice seeing you, Monica.
All right. Before you go, you want to share your information really quick, Tamara?
Yes. I'm at Astro Healing Arts on Instagram and at Solstice Organics 19, also on Instagram, and Facebook is Astro Healing and Astro Healing Arts channel on YouTube.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Sister Tamara.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Good to see you all.
All right. So we only have Sister Monica for a few more minutes because she has to go as well. So if you have any questions for our family, please put it out. She has a wealth of knowledge. She has her homeschool collective. She's been on the continent several times. She's visited several schools. She has very powerful young princess that she is has educated on herself, which I just love watching your story.
Thank you.
Sister Aishi,
yes,
what are your thoughts on the topic? Because I know you're just coming in, and I'm gonna see if anyone brings any questions for you, Monica. Okay.
Okay, if we can recap a bit.
Sure. So, well, let me read what Jamila Barakat said. She says, I'm a public school teacher, and yes, the school system is a white supremacy ploy. Yeah, yeah. So to recap real quick, really quick, me and my English, forgive me. We covered how do you develop global leaders, how do you become a global entrepreneur, and why is global leadership important? So we kind of just, had an open forum discussion, and Sister Monica shared a lot of information with us.
Well, just to add to that, to those answers, first and foremost, I want to say for a long time there wasn't a space made for us, right? And so that's hence a lot of us creating our own fraternities and sororities and just creating a space for ourselves and for our people. And we flourished, we flourished. And I think that's so important to continue to, develop leaders, and in particular global leaders. It's not just about America anymore. There's a whole universe out there in which we can capitalize economically and just grow and prosper while helping other people who look like us too to succeed. So I think that's very important. I remember growing up and felt like just you and your neighborhood existed, from where I'm from, what used to be known as Chocolate City. It really seemed like just the street that I grew up on existed. But, when you get older and due to internet and stuff, you realize that there's a whole world out there. So, for people who feel like there's not a lot of opportunity here, or I know a couple of people who, they have businesses or they have things that for whatever reason, I sound like, for whatever reason, it didn't work. The great thing about, being a global looking at it from a global perspective. I always say, I didn't say this growing up, but as an adult, I always say that America's not the end all be all, you know? And for a long time, we were taught that it was. We were
Right.
taught there's no other place outside of America. America, if you don't make it here, you don't make it anywhere, which there is a lot of opportunity here, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But no, there's a whole world out there. And so we need to let our kids know. And because a lot of corporations and companies have not okay. I'm sorry, I'm just saying, I think that's Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hey, Carolyn.
Look, since look, Monica's about to leave. Let's let her answer Carolyn's question.
Sure, absolutely.
Greetings, mamas. Monica, how did you find out about the programs that allow you and your children to travel the continent?
Okay, so the first, my oldest son actually went to the continent before I did. And he went with the organization called Swaliga. And I learned of that organization through the Boys and Girls Club. Both of my children were longtime members of the Boys and Girls Club. I can't say enough good things about the Boys and Girls Club because they have, so much access to programs and scholarships and grants for just about everything. So it's right around the corner from my house. And my son, my oldest, he went from 7 to 18. And actually, once he was a senior, he became the president of the I forget the name of the organization, but being the president, he was able to travel to Chicago, to Dallas. They paid for college tours and everything. And so Swaliga was one of the programs through the Boys and Girls Club that allowed him to travel to South Africa twice. Now, when we went to Ghana, we had to fundraise for that because my children were performing with Farafina Khan, which is a West African ensemble. And so this was their moment in the sun to go back to Africa and to perform as a part of the Back to Africa Festival. And one of those performances took place in the Cape Coast Dungeon. So that was an incredible experience. So the Boys and Girls Club and Farafina Khan, which is the company that they have been learning West African drumming for the past 10 plus years.
And they are good. They when we went to me and Monica were on the same Ghana. All three of us. We all went to Ghana at one time together at the same time. And Monica's son performed in Ghana's version of our Kennedy Center.
Yes.
And it was an amazing. They performed all over Ghana, but it was amazing. What was it? How did they, after traveling, did they realize what a big deal it was to perform in such a grand place as what was it called, the theater? What was the name of it?
The Royal Theater. I believe it was called Ghana Royal Theater.
Yes.
One of those. I think they I know they were excited because it was birthright, but it was birthright in Africa. So it was incredible for them. I know it was.
Carolyn says, I know them. Yes, they're good. They're good. Let me tell you, they performed after they, especially the sisters got in and started hitting them drums. And when they ended, all you saw was the whole African Black diasporans, everybody because the continental Africans were shocked.
Oh yeah,
they were shocked at how good they were, and the whole theater just jumped up in an explosion of everybody was so excited to see. I'm sorry, I'm choking up. See your children perform, and I was just like, it was such a I felt like a proud mama, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that was amazing. That's amazing. And I know those are the type of things that more of our children, not only, you know, because not everybody can go over there. Like, we need to go over there when we have these things, film it and bring it to the schools and share the experience so that our children can see different things. Have you done anything? You know, I know you're about to go, Monica.
You know, I just want to mention, I want to plug our virtual tours. You're right. Not every child can or family will have the opportunity to go to Ghana, but because of this global pandemic and the lack of ability for many people to travel, um, myself and Him Tours partnered with an organization called Black Education Network and launched virtual tours. And so we started doing virtual educational tours to Ghana. And we did 2 this summer, serving more than 200 children who were asking questions like, are there malls in Ghana? Do the children have toys? You know, those kinds of things that let you know that many of our children think that Africa is in outer space, or that you know, it's like so far off that they don't have any concept of what it's like. So going on these virtual tours is an opportunity to see Africa with your own eyes, not the one you read about in a book or that someone told you about, and hear Africans speak, see them eat food, learn about you know, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, go to Jamestown, see the children playing. So I just want to say that, you know, registration is still open for that virtual tour, $50 for a family of 4. And it's going to be the 14th and 15th of November. And it's going to be from 9:30 to 1:30 because there's a 5-hour difference now that we're in what is it called? Daylight savings time. So
Right. I have one more rock call, one more person, and then I know you're going to have to go. Queens, this is why citizenship is so important all over the continent for the diaspora. That's the missing piece for us. That's the best thing going in Gambia to really be leaning towards fast track. True. And one more time before Sister Monica leaves, she leaves us. This is her information. Definitely check her out. That now you all can see why I wanted her on this platform for this particular topic, and I saved it for her because I knew she was a wealth of resource for everyone. She is what we call a global educator.
thank you. Thank you so much. Wow.
Yes.
I'm here to
Yeah,
serve.
these are the type of people that I'm trying to get us connected with, and she's vetted, y'all. No scams with her. She's the real deal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And, you know, I'm here to serve. I love to share. So reach out to me. I'll answer your questions, help you make connections, whatever you need.
Alhamdulillah. All right. Thank you so much, Monica. Hopefully, God willing, I'll see you on the continent.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm ready for us to have, you know, one of them good nights.
Yeah. Let me know if you want me to help you search for flights.
Yeah, because I definitely want to be there, you know, for the party time.
I know. And I get to enjoy the adult time because the first time I was on mommy time. I didn't get to hang out.
I know. Me and Aisha were like this. Yeah, we definitely weren't on mommy time. We were just watching. I was like, yeah, I don't miss that.
Oh my goodness.
All right, sis. I'm gonna let you go. I kept my promise. Even though I want to keep you more, but anyway, I appreciate, love you. I really do.
Thank you so much. Same here.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, Aishi. It's just you and I, my sister. So I want you to go ahead and finish where you started off, but you have to give me one moment. I'm having a little bit of technical issues with myself, so I'm gonna put you on the screen by yourself, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and share your information, sis.
Okay. So basically, I was saying it's very important for us to think on a global level. For a lot of people who didn't make it in America, which, yeah, if you can, anybody should be able to make it here, but with the history of injustice and things of that nature that we face, sometimes it's important, especially when you keep hitting bumps in the road for some people, not for everybody, but for some people, it's good to start to think on a global level. I think that's so important in today's society. And I think, we have, I can't say we're moving, I'm going to say we have moved to a global society. Like I stated earlier, when I was growing up, it was like my neighborhood was the only thing I knew, and that was the only thing that existed. But now in today's society, that couldn't be further from the truth. Many people are just exposed to other countries and just so many things that they were never exposed to. And so I think it's so important to create global, global leaders and, just think on a bigger level. I mean, it's a whole nother world out there. And sometimes we tend to forget that. We think that America or wherever we're from is all that exists. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, you have the Caribbean and Africa and the whole continent of Africa. You have South America. I mean, it's a plethora of places that you can, have products or services in. I mean, the sky is the limit. And nobody, even though there were certain inhabitants of certain continents and countries, nobody owns the land. God owns the land. So
right.
I feel like you shouldn't, feel like you have to be stuck in one place. And especially for those who just keep hitting a bump in the road. I've talked to some of my friends and some of them are the hardest working people in the world, but something is inhibiting them or holding them back from their greatness. And it could be, they need to expand their target market or their target, audience.
Right.
So that's my stance on global, being a global leader, and then teaching our boys and girls that concept of entrepreneurship and being leaders instead of, followers. Like I'm making it a habit to tell my son, try to tell him every day now, are you going to be a follower or a leader? And I tell him you have to be a leader and don't really follow people. And I just want to add to that too. I noticed, I don't know if this is by design or on purpose or whatever have you, but I noticed that in a lot of companies and organizations and corporations, there are large population of Black women, which I'm happy and proud of, don't get me wrong, but I noticed that there aren't as many Black men in leadership positions. Well, growing up in DC, I was blessed to see a lot of Black men and Black women in pretty high positions, but still overall, I always notice as an adult, a larger number of women than men. And again, that's great. As a woman, I love to see that. But
do you think that's by design? Where do you think
I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, sis. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No. You can finish because
No, I would say I'm seeing that in the work field, even where I work, I see and when it comes to our community, I see more women, but in other community, I see more men.
That's very true.
What do you think that is by design? Where do you think the disconnect is for our young men, where they're not getting into these positions?
So yes, great question. I think that it is to a certain extent by design. I think that and I want to finish answering the question, but I want to throw this in the middle of my answering the question. That's why it's so important to create leaders, right?
And you know what?
To
Let me read
create,
what Rock Hall said too, so
go ahead, sure.
you can answer to him
Sure.
also. He says, until
Mhm.
we have to build up and with the grassroots villages in education, help fix roads, develop structures, the agriculture, housing, and making the economy stronger.
Mhm.
He says, Queen, I think the diaspora needs to come together and make I don't know, he didn't finish his thought. So go ahead, sis. What do you think on all those topics?
I agree with Rock Hall. It's so important for us to come together, and we realize and now how our dollar is so imperative and so strong. It's huge. I mean, we are the highest spenders, and we can really use that to just create a space for us, and we can use that as leverage to just create a lot of things. And, like I said earlier, it's, going back to your question, it's very important, for us to um, create leaders with our men and women. But to further answer your question, I do think it's by design, because we all see that once you take away the man, the family crumbles. I mean, it's no longer speculation. We can actually walk
No,
outside and see. Yeah,
that
it's not
yeah.
speculation. We've
We
seen
we
we
can't
went through
stand
a
without our
generation.
men.
Exactly. So we went through a generation where we've seen the results of what happens without a man. It's imperative to have a father in the child's life, whether it's a boy or girl. So yeah, it's important for that. But yeah, I think it is by design that there are more women than men. One thing I was reading, and I don't remember where I read this from, because I read books, articles, I watch, programs and documentaries. So I'm pulling this information from, different places. But one thing that I read, I think it was a news article actually, that stated that Black women are the hardest working women. Um, that's not to negate, like, either Hispanics or foreigners in general being hardworking, but it said that a lot of us are hardworking. Reason being, a lot of Black women are the head of their households, unfortunately. So they don't have a choice. They don't have a choice, or we don't have a choice. So we have to be. So maybe it's hardworking because it's in us, but it's also we're hardworking by default because of our situation, unfortunately.
Right.
And so if you hire a Black woman, she's likely, unfortunately, to do the long hours and to work above and beyond to provide for her kids. Whereas other people, like you stated, you see more men in their culture than women because they have that leverage of somewhat not having to work. I mean, with foreign women, or it's a little different because maybe they do need that two income to a certain extent. But for the most part, other cultures or races, their men are pretty successful, and a lot of them do entrepreneurship. So they have that luxury of staying home. They have that luxury of, if a job gets on their nerves, they can say, you know what, I don't have to deal with this. But Black women, we don't have that luxury for a lot of us. I'm not saying all, but for the ones who are in a certain situation. So in that article, it just stated how we tend to work a lot. So going back to the question, that's why we tend to be hired more. And also, I think from a power perspective, men tend to be more intimidated by other men. And I'm going on a reach, but
men are intimidating.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even
in a good way for us. For a good way for us. Yeah.
Just sometimes our presence, right? And all the brutality furthers that statement that we're saying. Like some of our men don't even have to open their mouth; just their physical presence.
They're men.
It's very threatening to some people, unfortunately. And so, as far as the
power behind it.
It's power behind it, right? Without them even speaking.
And I think that's definitely where the issue is, where we have to keep our boys and our girls not aware of their power.
Right.
Because once they become adults, and if they've tapped into that power now, as I've seen these youth, like Monica's youth, I see that power that they've tapped into it. So when they become young men, those are our leaders. If
Oh,
we
yeah.
if we
Yeah.
disconnect that information from them when they're young, it weakens our it weakens our tribe. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
why it's so important that that type of education is shared. Rock Shakur said, he said, peace, peace, sister. I agree with the comment made that part of the perceptual concept of leadership stagnation is both redesign and confidence. Uh,
Absolutely.
Sister Amina, assalamu alaikum, my sister. She says, very true, very true. Wig Williams, I wish Wig Williams could have got on here, but in due time. Under a microscope, and Rock Shakur, he rocks some knowledge. I love his mindset. Wig William, under a microscope, and America KK has developed the strongest Black women in the world. Alhamdulillah. That is
That is
globally.
very true. That
Alhamdulillah.
is very
Yeah.
true. That
Uh,
is very true.
Rock Shakur, correction, by design and confidence and self-esteem. So let me read Rock Shakur. So peace is, I agree with the comment that made that part of the perceptual concept of leadership stagnation, both by design and confidence, self-esteem. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it's 9:43. I'm not going to keep everybody on here. I just want to ask you, what are some of your last thoughts on our topic? Because this is very this is a passion of mine. I've been into homeschooling for 20 something years. I surround myself with homeschool moms. You're presently homeschooling your son. Uh, what are some of
Countless
the things
ones.
that, yeah, you're
Yeah.
homeschooling him.
Yeah.
Don't diminish it. You're
Yeah.
homeschooling him. You're doing it. You're working. You're homeschooling him. That's not easy.
No,
You
it's not.
know, it's not easy. And then and you do it with grace. So what
Thank
are some of
you.
oh, did I touch a soft spot? um what are your thoughts that could encourage other mothers in regards to exposing, trying to connect with other like-minded people, what to do to get your child, because you have a small one, I'm done, to,
Right,
the
right.
things that things that you're doing to get your son on that mindset of being a leader, being an entrepreneur, knowing his history. What are the things that you're doing now um, to propel him on that journey?
It's funny you mentioned that because some of the things that I do is we play Monopoly. So I am teaching him how to deal with money. It's funny because when I played with him last time, he bought up a lot of properties, and I'm ashamed to say, well, not really, because he's from me, so I'm actually proud to say too that he beat me. He bought up a bunch of property and ended up having more money at the end. So, teaching him financial awareness at an early age, which was not taught to me, and not to come down on who raised me, because they truly did the best that they could. And also, I learned from my family by watching them. So maybe they didn't teach me verbally, but I certainly watched them save. So yeah, I learned a lot from them. So let me not go on record to say I didn't learn from my parents. So let me take that back. I learned a lot from my mother and my grandmother on how to save. And my grandmother had a house and she paid it off, and my mother, was doing pretty decent for herself. So and learning from my mom that my great grandmother, my dad's mom, was an entrepreneur. She owned property, so which was huge, right, for a woman at that time, because she had to been just about 2 generations out of slavery. So that was huge.
Right.
But yeah, teaching them about money, financial awareness. I read books to him that teach him about his self and people who look like him. Because when I was growing up, they drilled in our head Black history. Black history wasn't just a month for me growing up. The schools I went to were, happened to be predominantly Black. And so we heard about Black history every day. Like I constantly heard about Langston Hughes, Wilma Rudolph, and Maya Angelou. Like these were names that they just like are stuck in my head. So just educating him on the greatness of his people, and not just starting. Well, we have so much history after slavery, but also teaching him that our history didn't start at slavery, but it was a beautiful history that started after that, So teaching him about himself, and I go to events, like Kwanzaa events and other events that teach him about himself. Surrounding him with other like-minded people who are very proud of who they are and who encourage him. I'm constantly speaking life into him and being positive and loving, and letting him know he can do it. Letting him know to eliminate words like I can't. I tell him, do not say can't in my household unless it's somebody telling him to do something bad. That is the only time that he's able to use I can't word.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, and also I want to teach him entrepreneurship, not to go into it now, maybe it'll be a part 2.
Well, you can start with small things too with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to open a bank account for him because when I went to the bank the other day, I saw a parent who didn't look like us with their child, helping their child to put money into her bank account. So, and I remember my aunt was with me and she looked over and she said, see, there's certain people out there who teach their kids early. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. But what I also do with him is I have piggy banks, right? So he's constantly saving money. And so that's drilled in his head. And so again, I'm teaching him financial literacy. We constantly play Monopoly. And I want to let him know about entrepreneurship, because if things don't change, he's going to be one of those Black males who will have to create a space for himself, because there's not a space that is created for him, right? And so I don't want him to have to do that, or maybe he'll get a skill or a trade or a degree and he tries that route. But then once that doesn't work out for him, he can say, oh, well, I was taught to be an entrepreneur. I know the steps.
Right.
I know, the steps, forming a name for my business, for his business, paying taxes and, things of that nature. He'll know those steps because I'll let him know that these are the steps that he has to take to be an entrepreneur. Also, just maybe making field trips of taking him down to the place where he creates his business, where businesses are created.
Like the SBA.
Yeah, yes. SBA.
Great field trip, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know what the SBA is, that's the Small Business Association. That's where you can go and they'll help you with your trade name. So if you want to take your young, like my cousin, I wanted to bring him on here. He's like 17. They'll take your child and they'll work with them. If you're saying, I want to start a business, they'll help you learn how to search out your trade name and how to create a business plan. And these are specialists that are for entrepreneurs specifically, and to help you guide into starting your business. And that's also a great resource if you want to start a business with your, for your child, if your child wants to start a business, his own entrepreneur venture, because I know so many others who their children at 6 or 7 started their own business, started writing books, are authors.
Lemonade stands, right?
And those are things that we have to start educating our children to do. Like, when they sit there and do a coloring book, just say, you tell them, oh, you want to write your book, and start writing a book and let their pictures be the artwork. I know, I was blessed. My oldest daughter, she has already done like publishing when she was in high school, she I can't think of the technical words that they use, but when the person who goes over the book and they edit, an editor, she's done editing for acclaimed authors already at a high school level. So a lot of us don't think to educate our children that mindset, but when you educate your children that mindset, by the time they are our age, they have gone to the next level. But that's where, we have to get this information out, because a lot of people may not even think about doing this with their youth. I know,
That's right.
because I know for me, I did not have an African-centered education. I did not learn anything about African-centeredness. I didn't know anything about my African background until like my senior year. It was an elective. But what got me really knowing about Africa, honestly, was my religious studies. And a lot of people, but I had to take control of it, because I was one of those kids. I went to a Christian school, so we had to memorize the Bible and recite it. So reading the Bible myself and reciting it, I saw certain things. So when people would try to tell me something, I was able to argue it. Also, so that for me, that became like a form of history. Now it was it was kind of convoluted, but it was a beginning thing that planted for me, because I was able to think for myself.
That's right. And that's important. I think that's a key, thinking for yourself. I think that in this society, they don't create leaders in the schools. I've read somewhere also that they don't create leaders, they create workers. And it's important to teach our kids to, be leaders. Now, not everybody is cut out for entrepreneurship. Not everybody wants to be a leader. Not everybody wants to own a company. Some people like to just show up to other people's company, do what they have to do, and go home. But I think, again, because of the history of what we have gone through and what we continue to go through, and the discriminatory practices with hiring. I remember one time in the newspaper, they were saying they were discriminating against people's names. So there was no way to prove it, that it was discrimination towards people's names. So I was reading in the article that, a woman was advised to throw away resumes where they had certain type of names. Now for me, that's another blessing to be raised in a predominantly Black area where, everybody had, I don't want to call unique names, but Afrocentric names or
You said unique names.
Yeah, I didn't want to say unique because it's unique. It's only unique to certain people. It ain't unique to me, right? Because everybody that I know have these type of names, right? So that's what I'm talking about.
He said, Rakshakur says, our inner city youth have great powers that is suppressed by the education offered.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. Do you know how many people, oh my God, even me growing up, how many people were so smart and their talent was just wasted? I mean, even around the way, during the crack epidemic, there were a lot of people who hustled. They were good at money. They were good at money.
Them numbers, memorization.
They were good with them numbers. They were excellent with numbers.
I sit and watch them like this.
That's entrepreneurship.
They were telling me all this stuff, and I was like, "Huh?" I didn't understand it, but they were running numbers down. I'm telling on myself. I was in the crew.
Yeah, I know, right? And me too. I don't want to tell too much, but I was just saying.
I could be watching like, huh?
But you know what's funny? Even though it was illegal, that was entrepreneurship. Think about it. They weren't really working for anybody. Now, granted, what they were doing,
and we don't want our children to go into that type of entrepreneurship.
No, we don't. Not at all. Not at all.
So but all that brilliance was wasted.
It surely was. Oh my gosh, it was.
Think about that. Given to our children, and that's what we have to create the opportunity for them. We have to create a place for them. We have to make sure that we keep them connected. We have to make sure that our family has the right resources. If we know, if I have some jewels in my back pocket, why would I not share it with them? Why would I not share people like Chocolate City homeschooling? Why would I share that information?
That's right.
We got to get it out.
That's right. And to expound on what you were saying, Kid, is, in America, it's it has been created, this individualistic thing. But I think I've mentioned to you before, we are all interconnected, right? How many times have this person known this person that you know, and you're like, oh my gosh, it really is a small world. And so what you put out there, you get it back. When you don't share information and you don't care about your tribe, your community, you know, that same person who you don't care about or who don't reach out to be a mentor or to share information, they may have a child or marry your child, right? So it all comes back to you in ways that you don't even know. You know, so I think that's so important to be involved and share information. And you know what? Even with entrepreneurship, you can literally Google all the steps of having a business. And you know, something that I want to share, because I know you're trying to wrap it up, is
don't. When my wrapping up is when I let you, we know we're cooling down, but the conversation goes, the conversation stop. If the conversation gets good, then the conversation get good. That's how I
right. Hey.
But we already know we're on it. This is our cool down.
right. Yeah, but you know, it just amazes me, you know, how just amazing we are and how many talents we have. And like the gentleman said, the brother said, I don't know if it's Wig William or who said earlier how so much talent is out there and you know, and was, you know, wasted. And that's why it's so important for the homeschooling. And like I said, and entrepreneurship, and like I was saying earlier, to create that space instead of waiting for somebody to create it for you. You just have to make space for, like how we made our own fraternities and sororities. We didn't wait for somebody else. We just made the space for it. So that's important to do that. And with the entrepreneurship, I know I have helped, you know, people to start businesses and stuff. And the important thing is to brainstorm what name you're going to use. You know, I think that's the first thing. Of course, have what it is that you want to sell, whether it's a product or service. And a lot of us, we don't have to dig deep. A lot of us, you know, when we get to a certain age, or even as a youth, if you can't see your strength, somebody else will say, oh, you good at this, you good at that. That means that's your strength. I mean, you have maybe have more strength. And that means you can capitalize on that. And you'd be surprised what you can capitalize on. It can be, you know, that you're a great public speaker. You know, it could be that you make really good food. I mean, we all, you know, and I remember in my job, there was a great debate about this. Me and another fellow coworker said that we believe every single person has either a talent or a skill. Whatever that is, things that you don't even think is a skill, like talking. Not everybody can, you know, talk effectively. So that's a skill.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill, because I'm always like mindful of it. Like, okay, let me make sure I get my words right, because I need to make sure I'm coherent. I'm making sense.
No, but you're good at that. You know, that's your thing. Not everybody can do this. You know, not everybody can have a form like this and speak. And you know, there's some people who that's just not their thing. They rather be behind the scenes. There's some people who, when they get in front of people like this or get in front of a forum, words can't come out their mouth. That's not their thing, but they may know how to write real well. Every single body has a talent.
And we can definitely help our children. You know, one of the things that I was blessed to do, in the Rasta community, we were very active. You know, always having community meetings and speakers and panelists and things like that. So, as you know, we were homeschoolers. And what we did was anything that we did, we put our children in the midst of it. If we had speaking engagement, we would have them up in front of the center. They would introduce guests. They would talk to. I mean, my daughter has she has rubbed arms with the the grandson of Emperor Haile Selassie. She has
Mhm,
talked to
mhm,
elders in Jamaica.
mhm,
She has had conversation with President Barack Obama, with Michelle
mhm,
Obama.
mhm.
She has, alhamdulillah, but you have to give the children the tools to be able to rock with these
Absolutely.
type of individuals, and so many of our children don't. And how can we create global leaders if they can't even handle speaking to someone that looks like them? Another
Exactly.
human being, because that's all we
Exactly.
are, just human. We
A
just have
human
different
being.
titles. And what
Yeah.
happened is many of our children, I see it, they get intimidated.
Mhm,
So we
mhm.
have to start creating these kinds. That's why one of my goals, I want to start getting our kids on here, to start getting them working with
Absolutely.
each other, talking to each other,
Yes.
and creating that network and getting comfortable networking. Networking is
Yes.
everything.
Oh, oh my gosh, it truly is. You're so right.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so we talked a mouthful. I
Well, I'm sorry. I was looking
Fine.
at someone just
You like our
Thank
accent?
you. Thank you, sis.
Yeah.
Exactly as an accent, right? I was in denial as a little girl, but
Look,
I'm like, yeah, I definitely have an
tell
accent.
Icy all the time. I say, we have accents. She said, I don't hear.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I never believed it growing up because everybody talked like me. But now when I talk to different people, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely have an accent. But there was a comment that was said. So thank you for that, sister. I appreciate you. It was a comment that was said earlier by a brother or sister. I'm not exactly sure. They were talking about the education system with special education. We were literally just talking about that to a couple of
right
some of
here,
my girlfriends.
Rock Shakur.
There it is.
He said,
Yes. I mean,
work so-called special education for 10 years and so much manipulation and abuse by lost educators and administrators.
that is so true.
I worked for the special ed
Oh,
union as
that is
well.
so
I
true.
worked
It's
at
so sad.
Potomac High School with all
Mm.
like the Down syndrome children, and the special ed needs. And
But I want to touch on not even Down syndrome. I'm talking about boys who were put in special education but didn't necessarily need to be there. Me and my girlfriends were talking about that. Reason being is a lot of our young boys are diagnosed with ADHD wrongfully.
yeah,
and it just stems from a lot of them come from, broken homes and come from parents who can't make the PTA. For example, a school that my child went to, which was, predominantly Black. This was 2 years ago. It was probably me and one handful of parents. And so, we just have a lot of things we need to work on and understand that that's where it takes a village, because some of these parents are just not able to because of generational trauma, generational ignorance, generational hurt. So that's where we step in and volunteer to help, help to babysit or maybe go to a PTA with their permission to find out about their child and help out. I know I've had to do that with some family members. It wasn't that they didn't have their moms, but it takes a village. Their moms probably had multiple kids, right? And so they couldn't do it on their own.
Did you drink any of this?
No, but I'm in the middle of something, so okay, go ahead.
She'll get you it. You'll have her in a second aside, okay?
And
you'll
so
have her all to yourself in a moment.
And so so that that's where the village comes in. So when I saw that what that brother mentioned, it hit home because even though it hit home because I saw that growing up. I saw a lot of guys who were intelligent but were just immediately put into special education, whereas if they were given more attention, and they would not have been probably in special education. Or I was hearing that for special education, I'm not talking about Down syndrome, people,
right.
who are misdiagnosed because at that time, that's what they did. Whereas right now, they incorporate people who maybe have a little bit of a learning disability, they incorporate them in the classroom. Because the thinking is that they're around people who are on a certain level, it'll bring them on that level. And from what I heard, it's supposed to have been temporary. They're supposed to bring them to a certain level and then have them assimilate in the classroom. It's supposed to be temporary. So it's a whole sad thing behind that. And with my son, I'm making sure that I'm very involved. Whenever he goes back to school, I'm going to be very involved in, being there and making sure that they don't do that to my child. I remember when he started a school last year, I handed a book called The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. I may not get the title completely right, but people definitely want to check that out for a lot of people who have Black kids.
What is it called again?
It's called, I can go get it if you would like me to.
Yeah, go get it really quick.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, go get it really quick. So yeah, this topic is very personal for me because I've seen where the school system has taken a lot of the youth that I know and just kind of not brought them to their full potential, and our community is really hurting behind it. And so hopefully definitely go below here, and if you see on the bottom where it says Sankofa, that's the sister who was here. She has a homeschool collective. She has a lot of information. She has homeschool programs. She does virtual tours. If you know any children who need to be educated about what Ghana looks like, Africa looks like, she does a virtual tour so that they can see that Africa has a lot of things that we have, because once a person's mind is opened up and to travel, it will open up gates, because I know so many, and I know it's the trauma of, it's definitely the trauma of the plantation years, why you see so many black people that sometimes they don't in DC. I only can speak from DC. Like I know people in DC who never left out of Southeast and to venture into Northeast, and I know people in Northeast that never ventured out into Northwest. I mean that DC's like in 4 quads: Southeast, Northeast, Southwest, Northwest, and people will not leave their own community, much less leave out of the country. And so we need to make sure that our youth mind or horizon, is opened up so that they can leave not only their neighborhoods but leave the country, so that they can build. If they're stuck in this little shell, you can never blossom. You're stuck in this seed. You can't blossom. So that's the importance of a global community. So please share that information on below. But go ahead. What is the book?
So this book is, and I'm sure people have heard about it, and if not, it's called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. And the author is Jawanza Kunjufu. I hope
Let me see if I can
put his name.
Let me see if I can put it up here. How you spell the name?
It's Jawanza, Jawanza.
Okay.
That's his first name. His last name is Kunjufu. There it is. Yeah. Yep. Jamila. Yeah,
Jamila.
and so he has a whole bunch of books. He has one series 1 through 3. He has a plethora of books talking about this very topic. And if I can just read, I'm not going to go through a whole page, but some of the things he basically says, the major components of the Black classroom include Black male teachers, 20 to 40 students, cooperative learning, where the students are teaching each other instead of a teacher just standing up and talking. That's not conducive. And a lot of Black boys are what is that word? I always use it. They're very athletic, kinesthetic. A lot of Black boys are kinesthetic learners, which means they have to move, they have to run, they can't stand still. And oftentimes that's diagnosed as ADHD. And I'm not saying some people don't have that, but in a lot of cases, that's not the
They
case.
don't.
For
They
Black
don't.
boys.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not the case. They are kinesthetic learners, and that means they have to get up. And if you don't know that about our boys, and you're not used to teaching our boys, you would know that. You think growing up, a lot of kids got labeled as a troubled child. No, they're kinesthetic learners, and
Right.
you have to do things that accommodate their learning style. And unfortunately, a lot of public schools, they have a cookie, I said cootie, cookie, cookie cutter learning style, and they teach all the kids the same way, and you just can't do that. And so for people who can't homeschool their kids for whatever reason, like they have to work and make money or whatever, then they can supplement, right?
Right.
Like send their kids to school, but supplement by teaching them about themselves, and also supplement by being very active at the school. Because if they see that the parents are active, they're not going to try. Well, I have heard of cases where active parents, the administrative have still tried to label their kids, but at least the active parent is going to say, no, 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 I hear you, but that's not what's going on with my child. Whereas if the parent is active, I'm not active and overwhelmed and just coming from a very toxic environment, they're more likely to go along with whatever the teacher is saying and not even question. So this book is very, very important.
I'm gonna have to get that book.
Yeah, it's very important. I think I read this whole.
I'll share, and I'll share a link in the description of that book as well.
Yes, please do. It's a very, very, very good book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't heard of that book, so thank you for that.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any other recommended reads for anyone in regards? I had a lot of, but I think all my books that I read are pretty much, I think they're outdated, honestly, because it's different because our children has changed with technology, so they're definitely a different type of breed from when my youth were young.
Yeah, but what's funny? This book is a fairly old book, but a lot of the things that he's talking about is very.
It's a classic book.
It's a classic book because when I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh. What's sad is that I wish it really would have been worldwide, and people really should have, I wish, would have taken heed. But we know that certain things are by design, right. Because they could have had this circulating in the public schools and corrected a lot of Black boys' behavior. But some people, I don't know who these people are, but some people, you can use your imagination, don't want that to happen. Right. Whoever these people are. And so that's why that didn't happen, because this book right here will help so much. I mean, it's made me even, deal with my son differently, because maybe if I didn't read these books and I didn't read other things, I probably would have been like, what's wrong with him? Why is he just so, but now I know that his learning style is the way it is. And and boys have more testosterone. And testosterone, that's why if you even look at the nature of boys and girls, it's just different. Girls can sit down longer. Boys have to be up active. They're always wrestling. You get them together, they just start wrestling. You're like, what is wrong with you? They just start wrestling. So their nature is different, right? And you have to treat them accordingly. Other than these, I don't know what else to recommend at this time, but I will say this brother has a whole bunch of books. So he has approximately 10 books.
Okay.
So he has different books. I think it goes up to 4 in this series, but then he have other books too. Okay. And I recommend it. I mean, it's funny because, true story, I gave this to his teacher who didn't look like us. And my coworkers was like, you did what? I mean, it was a big old debate. And I remember thinking, like,
if she's going to be teaching, she need to know.
She needs to know. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hear nothing else about it. But with the cooperative piece where the kids are teaching each other, she did say that was going to be implemented, not because of the book, but that's what they're starting to do. Because the theory is you tend to listen, and this is so true because I see it with kids. They tend to listen to each other more than they will with us. Mm-hmm. They tend to follow people who are their age because they speak their language. They talking about Pokemon and all that.
like the Montessori like layout, because that's their concept
Mhm.
of children educating each other.
Yeah, I've heard, right. Exactly. I've heard good things. I've heard good and bad things about that. But yes, that is, yes, absolutely. That is the concept of
And the
teaching
children
each other.
because when we were homeschooling, we kind of took that concept and
Hmm.
incorporated it. We didn't do the whole entire Montessori program, but we incorporated where the youth kind of had a participation on where they wanted to be educated. Um,
Yeah,
for the day. So we may not have touched on math for one day and they just
right.
did all science or to, the next day, but we made sure that they got the number of teachable hours and
Yeah, yeah.
but we catered the program according to what they wanted to do that day.
And see, that's great. And it's funny you mentioned that because I wanted to put him in Montessori because I thought the concept was so great because I think that it's so great to nurture your kids' talents. Like I said, a lot of times with school, they treat it as cookie cutter type style. And a lot of kids, they graduate from high school and they don't know what they want to do. They don't know what their talents are. They have no idea, and I think that's another thing to mention that parents, I know we're busy, but we really need to, watch our kids, like watch what they're good at, you know what I mean? And watch their talents and stuff. So you can kind of like foster that and
Yeah.
nurture that. That's very important.
It's important to
But
nurture in their formative years.
absolutely, absolutely. Because, a lot of these schools are not going to do it. And like I said, for people who are sending their kids to public school, just
It still can be done.
supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
I say you still can do it.
Yeah, and you can, and a lot of times people let the TV television, right?
The television. Mm-hmm.
Television, let the television and let schools teach their kids. And I know, God knows that all of us are so busy. So a lot of us take. Hold on one second, baby. A lot of us. Okay, we'll deal with that. Okay, honey. A lot of us. Wait, we're not going to do that tonight, okay, honey? Okay.
Why?
And
Why?
this is real life, right? Like this ain't scripted. This ain't pre-recorded. This is real life.
Asada's like, I'm letting my presence be known. Asad, you about to get her, honey. You about to get her. I'm about to let her go.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up soon. Okay, we're not playing with that tonight, okay? We're about to wrap it up, okay? But yeah, I was gonna say a lot of us, have a lot going on and a lot to do. So to be honest with you, I don't want to come off like this perfect parent. It's hard. And a lot of us have so much on our plate. And so a lot of times we just plop our kids in front of the television because we're tired, right? Or we let the teachers do all the work,
Mm-hmm.
because we're tired.
And we don't listen to our kids, because our kids give us the red flags and the signals, and a lot of us we don't hear it, and we
that's so true. Yeah. That's important too, kiddos. You bring up a good point because when I'm in the car with my son, when he's not in the car, I got my music on and I'm jamming. I sound like an old lady saying jamming, but but that's my time to those are one of my times to decompress and just spend time with myself. But when he's in the car with me, I notice that I turn off the radio and I listen to him and I let him talk and I let him express himself because listen, I'm trying to prepare him for a wife, which a lot of us didn't do. A lot of parents didn't do, I guess, because I don't know, they were just in survival mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to prepare him for a wife. I'm trying to make him a better citizen of, this world. So, a lot of women say men don't communicate. I'm trying to teach him to communicate and talk. Not right now. I mean, this ain't the best time to communicate because I'm doing this.
Right.
But normally I let him speak and I let him, articulate how he feels unless I'm in the middle of something or whatever. But that's important to basically.
How can they be global leaders if they can't even lead in their own household?
There you go. That
Wow.
we just
Wow.
we just need to press
They
the
get food in
reset
their own
button.
household. And a lot of us, and that's where I feel, I say it's the, I do put it on the mother. I'm not letting the brothers off, but I put it on the mother because we're the first teachers.
That is very true. That is very true. That is very true. And we, yeah, it's funny you say that because I think starting from, slavery days, and that's another book that I'm plugging a bunch of books tonight. If they see me doing this, they can send me a couple of coins.
If it's going to help us plug it,
Yeah, they need to send me a couple of coins, but no, it's all good. I'm glad that, they're going to get more money. And if people buy these books and then people get knowledge, it's a book called Postpartum Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Joy DeGruy. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right. Joy DeGruy. Postpartum Slave Syndrome.
Okay, I think that.
So that's a very good book. And, a lot of these books, as you can see, these books they're very short, not a lot to read. And when you read them, they're so packed with information that you'll feel so much more, thank you, honey, so much more, just educated. And I feel so much more ready for dealing with whatever is going on in the education system because of this book. And so I can better, deal with my son and with his teachers or whomever. But one thing, the reason why I brought that book up is because she mentioned how during slavery days, we felt like we had to protect our boys and protect our kids. So we would put them down, right? We didn't lift them up. And back then, that was for survival. And it's funny because 400 years is kind of similar.
Longer than 400 years.
Yeah, it's kind of similar where we're still protecting our boys, where we still feel the need to protect our boys, and we still say, "Oh, don't go there. You're not supposed to go there." But if we can just find a balance of uplifting them, speaking life into them, encouraging them, and making them leaders instead of putting them down like some people do, and saying, "Sit down, shut up," and then when they shut up and don't speak and close off to us, then we wondering why, but we told them to do that. We told them indirectly to sit down and shut down. And we didn't even realize that that's what we're doing. So when they get a certain age and they don't want to talk or they don't want to do anything.
Yeah, I hear that so much during the day, and it just goes through my skin when I hear a lot of mothers,
breaks my heart.
Yelling and cursing at their baby boys and telling them to shut up and then slamming them. And I'm like,
it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And then you wonder, it breaks my heart. And then these little boys grow up to be men. And then everybody's wondering why these men or women are the way they are. That's what was put into them. And they are reflecting what was put into them.
Right.
Which is trash. Now, I am sympathetic to these mothers who are doing it on their own. And I think that's so unfair, that they have to. And great frustration comes from that, so, but I feel so sorry for the kids. And, when you see somebody like that, it's hard to say stuff to people these days because they'll, you don't know what they're liable to do. I know I've said stuff to parents, but now, especially having a child of my own, I don't want to get into a situation where it may backfire and they want to fight me or whatever have you. But I think it's important maybe to be gentle and be, maybe, help the person, say, do you need anything? I can come and volunteer my time to help out with you and your kids, once a week, just help out. Because clearly when people are angry, it comes from something. Nobody's ever angry for no reason.
Right.
You think about it. So, we definitely need to help. But
we have a lot of anger. I mean, it's just a lot of anger here, period.
A lot of anger, hurt.
Because I didn't realize how much anger I was carrying around until I went to the continent and I was able to relax. And I was like, that's like a lot of knots on me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
So imagine what our poor babies are dealing with. You know, they're
Can
dealing
you imagine?
with they're going to a school system that the teachers are labeling them in kindergarten as these are our bad children, these are our slow children. They're being labeled.
Can you imagine wrongfully?
They're already being stunted in their growth. They're not
Well,
aware.
can you imagine this? I'm about to say something to you, and this every time I think about it, it blows my mind. The first woman who loves you verbally abuses you. And I don't want to put everything on the mom because, like you said, the dad plays a part too, because you should fight for your child. Verbally abuse you, push you down, do you wrong. That's your first love. Then, so you're hearing all that abuse from that end. Then you go to the school and they're telling you negative stuff. Oh, you're bad. You're not this. You're not that. That's two right there. You go into the store, they're following you. You know, you dealing with relationship, the women or the men are acting a fool and fussing, and who wouldn't go crazy with that? Goodness gracious. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, when people are profound, that people have attitudes, I'm like, how can they not have attitude? I'm not saying that you shouldn't put in work to change your condition, but what I'm saying is that's a lot. And so we have to be compassionate with our sisters and brothers. Sometimes I see us and I'll be like, oh, Lord, we just off the chain. And then I have to remember that, look at all the things that have come our way. Good Lord, that's a lot. Excuse my language, that's a hell of a lot for anybody.
It
have to deal with. We got it coming from every which way. And I didn't even add, we have it coming from each other. So your mother, your father, your family, oh, you ain't this, you ain't that. Then you go to school, you ain't this, you ain't that. Then you go to the store, they following you. And in the relationships, you ain't respected. What do you expect to come out of that? When you cook food and you put a whole bunch of mess, are you going to get souffle or some good food out of that pot that you put a whole bunch of mess in? Girl, don't get me preaching, because I'm about to turn into a preacher. But it just blows my mind. We have to have more compassion with each other because we're up against so much. So much.
Yeah.
So that's really what I wanted to say too, in addition to everything
it's heartfelt. You know, Wick Williams, he says, if we have one big boat, we can come just leave the ones who want to stay and we can heal from this, because this is really this is not like a today or tomorrow. You know, this is not this is like a generational healing thing that we have to go through. This is and a lot of the things that I'm so grateful that I started educating my youth even about their natural their native culture. Like, they grew up with their altars. They grew up respecting their ancestors. They grew up understanding spirituality, because you have to tap into that, because so many of our children are walking godless. You know, I'm not trying to put my religion on anyone, but I have to speak from my personal thing.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up, literally, like, I was in the church pretty much 7 days a week. Growing up, I went to Christian schools. I went to Sunday school. Saturday actually was 6 days a week, because Saturday was the only day I didn't have to go to church. And I did this all through my elementary years. And during my teen years, I went wayward. Wayward. I just was all over the place. But that foundation was there, and that foundation brought me back, when I had my children, back to where I was able to, because the roots were still good. It was just the tree was all jacked up. And once I started treating the roots again, I flourished again, and I started putting that same information and that same radical energy into my children. And that's what is so necessary now. We got to make sure that our children have a strong root and foundation, because even if when they go through a hurricane and a storm and they get disheveled, if those roots are strong, it will come back. And
absolutely, I always say that,
because, like, right now I'm going through a storm with my youth. But they,
Mm-hmm.
they gotta find their own path. But I know their roots are strong.
That's right, and they'll come back. Just like
I have global, and my children that have like the kind of energy, they have power behind them. So when
oh my gosh, yes,
when they do come back to it, I know it's gonna be, they're gonna go further than I ever have. But so we have to take it to the next step. So when they're ready to step into their greatness, we have to set that foundation for them. I'm seeing some people saying some comments. Let me see. I'm sorry, I got caught up, guys. I forgot you all were here. Sister Jamila Barakat says bad equal explorative, adventurous, inquisitive, active. Yeah,
that's right. And that book, that she's so right.
Replacement words. That's right.
As a matter
damn, that's real talk. That's right. Straight up. We don't talk nothing but real talk. We don't have time for the foolishness. We've been bamboozled. We've been, had the wool pulled over our eyes. And, me and Sister Aisha were talking. I said, we're both on the plantation, so we both are very mindful of what we have to say. But I feel like the girl, I said, God did not give me this platform for no reason. And I said, we have to share this information. We just have to be mindful of our words, speak our truth, be honest, and get the information out. And I was like, and we have such a resource that we'll be doing a disservice not only to ourselves, to everyone else, but to ourselves, because God bless us. There's so many ways. And when I want from my brothers and sisters what I want from myself, and if I don't share it, shame on me. Shame on me.
That's right. That's right. And you know what's funny? I wanted to
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going to expound on what Jamila said. Postpartum slave syndrome talks about that too. How with some people, not us, they let their kids explore. She gave an example of how when they were in the bank, the particular child who was not of the same hue as us was able to explore, but the Black child, we didn't let him or her explore. So when Jamila said that comment, it reminded me of that, how, and that's why I let my son explore within reason, especially with this COVID going on. I kind of reel him in only because of that, but I let him explore. And it's funny, my mother noticed that. She was kind of looking at the behavior of another child, and she noticed that his background was different. His mother probably is much more, I don't want to say abusive, let me not say that, but much more, yes, baby, much more reels it in more, and probably, okay, good, look at you, good, continue on, baby, continue to videotape me. And versus my mother said she noticed with my son, he is more, liable to explore. He's more able to explore. And that's probably because I allow him to. So when she said that, it just reminded me of the book Postpartum Slave Syndrome, how we have certain things indoctrinated in us, and we want to not let our kids go too far from us or kind of spread their wings because we're scared what happened during slavery, such as they were lynched or whatever. And so we have to do that, let our kids be free and explore within reason, maybe not too much, but still let them do it nevertheless. So I just wanted to touch on her comment because I thought that was very interesting what she said.
Right. Yes. So I'm going to read a couple more comments. So Donnie, I feel you. He said, my life. He started laughing. He said, Grandma had a van and picked everyone's kid up for church 5 to 6 days a week. Man, let me tell you something, Donnie. Let me tell you something. It wasn't even like that in my family. I was the only one. I'm the youngest out of 5. My brothers, no. My sisters, no. Nobody in my family, literally. My mom would dress me up on Sunday, dress me up in my Sunday best, 5 years old, and send me out walking. Nobody else. I had to go to the church. I would go to Sunday school. I was the only one that went to Christian school. I was the only one that was thrown into religion like that, which is weird. But none of my brothers and sisters, my mom, my dad, it was, I think it was just my fate. That's what God wanted for me. So I'm not mad at it, though. It's a blessing. And Sister Amina said, yes, they will always come back to their roots. All right, so it's 10:35. I'm going to end this live. Please share your last thoughts.
Wow. If I could just sum up everything I said and just put in my last thoughts, but my last thoughts are to be compassionate with each other, to understand what we were and still are up against before we pass judgment, to create a village, to help our sisters and brothers when they need help as much as we can, without letting that person pull us down either, because we have to be mindful of that. Read is part of my last thoughts, to encourage, uplift not just your child, but a lot of these youth. Adults ignore the heck out of them. They walk past them. Speak to them, tell them that they're amazing. Anytime a youth or anybody help me, I'd be like, thank you so much, you are amazing. And I can just see their face just blow up because they don't hear that. And to me, it seemed like such a minor thing, but it's so major to a lot of people who are constantly getting put down by their family or whomever. Also, to constantly teach your kids and prepare them for the global market, because what's happening is our kids are falling behind with the global market, and everybody else is advancing. And I remember reading about that too, how our kids are behind education wise and in so many ways. So we have to give them those tools and and make them into entrepreneurs. And don't be scared to be an entrepreneur. People think it's so
you're gonna be a dog trainer.
Huh? What'd you say?
You decided to be a dog trainer.
I know that may be his calling right there. But yeah, teach them stuff like I said, play Monopoly with them and teach them financial literacy. Before we wrap it up, I want to throw out. I think the brother's name is Boyce Watkins.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him, Kiddes?
Oh, I'm part of his school. He does a financial school
for kids too. He does one for kids too.
Actually, that's one of those resources I shared with a couple of my homeschool moms. That's an excellent resource as well. And then he does every Wednesday. I can't remember, but he does like a free class.
Yes.
He does a free class I think it's every Wednesday, I want to say. But
I didn't even know about that. I know is it for adults or kids?
He does a free financial class for homeschool children. So definitely check out Dr. Boyce.
That I didn't know. So much information. So the information is out there. We just need to put it to play. So recommending him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had to mention him because he does literacy, and I want to put my son in that too. In addition to, teach your kids about stocks. Maybe you can have a couple of stocks and make a couple of them theirs, and they can watch it grow. Create a checking account or savings account for them and have them, take all the money or some of the money from their piggy bank and put it in there. Like I said, play Monopoly. Have them read about, great people and successful people. Because growing up, I never felt as a Black person that I couldn't do anything, because I just saw people around me who look like me do great things. So I never felt that. Where some kids, they feel that, or maybe they go to schools where it's not that many of them there and they don't feel that. So I think it's good to encourage your kids and have them just see successful people who look like them. That's important. Last but not least, venture out with the entrepreneur. Maybe your son or daughter can start small, by tell them to do a lemonade stand and make up a name. So stuff like that. Kids love doing lemonade stand. That's a classic.
What's so amazing is they may, because this is one of the things I'm putting in my son's ear, right? They may not start off in the entrepreneur journey, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They might go into the work industry. They might, go into these things in the corporate world. But my son right now, he's not even 30 yet, and he's already a supervisor. He's already he's already got manage deals with the counties, different counties in
Yes.
Jersey. And so now I'm putting in his ear, I'm dropping those jewels, take your business skills and take it over to Africa and create an
That's
entrepreneur.
right.
Create that same kind of thing. He's running these organizations. He's
Yes.
getting those contracts. So we have the resources. We have to put it in. Sometimes we have to put it in our youth mind that they can take the knowledge they got working in this industry and reinvent that to help
You
us
make a great
build
point.
on the continent. So right now, I'm that homeschool mom who has adult
Yeah.
who's trying to is putting that whisper in your ear. You have the education now. You have the skills. You have that background. Let's take it to the motherland. So the best
That's
way for me
right.
to go over to do is go over there and start it
Right.
and let them see that it can be done.
That's
So
right.
we're always educating. We're always educating.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point that, with those skills, you can do so many things with it. Say, for example, like I said, not everybody wants to own their own business, but when you have leadership skills and you're taught that, you can run a company. You can go over to Africa. I mean, sky's the limit. When you have certain skills, skies are the limit. You know what I'm saying? So you bring up a very good point. Also, just I know that the show that we had last time, it was about being educated about you know health, and when you go to the doctor, not just taking what the doctors say. And so I'll say the same for education. Like, it's important to read, like, books like this, reading about your kids and how they should be educated, and reading is just very important. And last but not least, people should not be scared of entrepreneurship. Like, it's easier than people think it is. Even starting off with a company's name, and with the next process, well, going to SBA, which is a resource, and there's a plethora of resources. And also, if you Google, in the era of internet, you can simply Google how to start a business, and they will probably walk you through it.
Mm-hmm.
But so do that, and you don't have to generate a whole bunch of money.
Definitely go to your local SBA, because that's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best way you can go, because then you have someone that you can ask all your specific questions, and if they don't have the answer, they have the resources actually right there, because that's where all the they're right there with all the. So anyway, we got the key. We got the notice assigned.
Lord.
All right. So I want to thank everyone. I appreciate my family for being on here with us.
Yeah, appreciate love you.
I'm looking forward to our next sisterhood meeting. Before you head off, give me 3 words that come to your head for sisterhood.
Power. Because sisterhood, we could take over the world, together. So I'm gonna say power, understanding, and nurturing.
Alhamdulillah. And my 3 words that I leave today, I don't remember what my last one, but tonight, what comes to my mind, when you bring us together, you bring unification, you bring inventions, and you bring glory.
Yes.
All right, family. Thank you so much for staying with us. I appreciate and love you all. And until next time, you all have a blessed and beautiful night. Love you, Aishi.
Love you too.
All right.
Bye.
No.
Assalamualaikum, Hassan.
Say walaikum assalam. Say bye. Say good night.
No.